Woosah. My name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. Okay, I've spent my entire day trying to find out if my next breast cancer surgery is still on, because Donald Trump is a cruel and evil man. Overnight, Trump froze trillions of dollars in federal aid to Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, veterans benefits, domestic abuse shelters, and on the list goes. And Republicans have signed off on all of his wicked deeds. Here's Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who was out of the gate on this one fast. Murphy wrote, Trump's government funding shutdown of Medicaid, cancer research, elementary schools is cataclysmic by itself. But together with the pardon of the rioters, the firing of the inspectors general, etc., it is a brazen, transparent effort to seize power. Let's start acting like it.
President Trump plunged the country into chaos without a shred of warning. Funds for things like disaster assistance, local law enforcement, rural hospitals, aid to the elderly, food for people in need, all are on the chopping block in this new administration. Every one of our offices has been deluged with calls from people who are in panic. What is this going to mean? What if I have a hospital that has people on life support? What are we going to do? It's hard to overstate how destructive this decision is for the country. He has a lot of really bad decisions, but this is the worst of the worst. This is cruelty. This is lawlessness. This is a heist done on a national scale. The president does not have the authority to ignore the law, and we're going to fight this in every way that we can.
Hear, hear. We have to. Shea Jordan Smith tweeted this out, calling this a, quote, temporary freeze is like calling a bank robbery a brief withdrawal. If Trump can block legally allocated funding on a whim, what stops him from using emergency powers to suspend elections, adjourn Congress, or silence his opponents?
To the Capitol this morning, and I'm reeling like many of you with the new administration's effort to pause all federal funding and grants for the next 90 days. I've been a governor. I've been a nonprofit leader. I know how devastating that would be with no forewarning. Projects that are already in process could come grinding to a halt. We're going to get the answers and put an end to this.
That is one of my senators, Senator Mark Warner, and I blew up the lines to his office as well as Senator Tim Kaine's today. And then also my congressional representative, MAGA Republican Jen Kiggins, in my quest as a patient who gets my medical coverage through Medicaid, as well as a journalist. And it was clear to me that Congresswoman Kiggins' office was caught completely flat-footed. They were like, what? Huh? I asked her staff to give me an on-the-record statement about Trump's evil move, and all they could say was, well, she hasn't spoken to us or any of us about this at all. That's Donk. He's very upset. He's been my therapy and emotional support dog all day. I know, Donk. It's really shitty. I also broke it to the Medicaid supervisor I spoke with. She was like, no worries, honey. And I'm like, I think you really need to check the news. Like, this was breaking. Like, I saw this as it was happening. She's like, no, everything's all good. Well, within minutes of me hanging up the phone with her, all 50 states' Medicaid portals had indeed been locked down. Here in Senator Ron Wyden's post, my staff has confirmed reports that Medicaid portals are down in all 50 states following last night's federal funding freeze. This is a blatant attempt to rip away health insurance from millions of Americans overnight and will get people killed. Yeah, it will. People will die because of this.
Sweeping, but it is also confusing. And this morning, all of Washington is trying to figure out exactly what it means. The White House appears to be calling on all agencies to impose a spending freeze on federal assistance by 5 p.m. today. And it appears that we're talking about everything from aid to nonprofit organizations to funding for universities. This could even affect loans to small businesses and grants to state and local governments. Now, in this memo, the Office of Management and Budget at the White House orders all federal agencies to assess all of their programs and activities to ensure that they comply with President Trump's recent executive orders. And in the meantime, it says all federal assistance must be temporarily frozen. The memo specifically mentions financial assistance for foreign aid, quote, woke gender ideology, and the Green New Deal.
All right, there is no Green New Deal. That is just some serious bullshit. This is the Trump campaign trying to massage it when what they're doing is robbing us blind. Woke ideology, so they've cut off millions and millions. I think it's like 72 million Americans depend on one form or the other of this federal funding. This is Trump's and his billionaire kleptocrats, the oligarchs, brazenly stripping the American taxpayers' pockets, and they're doing it in front of us. Like nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Kiefer wrote, feels like a bunch of billionaires are ripping the copper wires out of the walls of this country before it collapses. I thought that was such a fantastic metaphor, going in, stripping the house down, and then just, hey, peace out on their yachts and private jets. And here's my favorite part. Trump press secretary Caroline Leavitt had no answer for the White House press corps as millions of Americans were cut off from Medicaid.
It wasn't clear to me whether you were saying that no Medicaid would be cut off. Obviously, a lot of this goes to states before it goes to individuals and so forth. So are you guaranteeing here that no individual now on Medicaid would see a cutoff because of the pause?
I'll check back on that and get back to you. John.
Then she later issued this statement. The White House is aware of the Medicaid website portal outage. We have confirmed no payments have been affected. They are still being processed and sent. We expect the portal will be back online shortly. That is a lie. She is lying. She is lying. It was not an outage. It was a deliberate move by Donald Trump to seize full power over federal spending. A dictatorial move. Make no mistake about it. That's what this is. And Shea Jordan Smith posted, and just so we're clear, this is illegal. The Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974 makes it clear presidents don't control the purse. By blocking approved federal funds, Trump is violating the law and attempting a hostile takeover of government spending. Yeah, he gets it. So does New York Attorney General Tish James, who immediately sprung into action.
Administration's new policy put people at risk, but it is plainly unconstitutional. The president does not get to decide which laws to enforce and for whom. When Congress dedicates funding for a program, the president cannot pull that funding on a whim. Later today, I am leading and joining with my colleagues, my fellow Democratic attorney generals, in suing this administration to stop this illegal freeze of essential funds for our state.
Can I just say I stand Black women once again at the front lines of trying to rescue our democracy? Thank you. Qasim Rashid Esquire, an attorney, posted this, breaking the attorneys general of basically every Democratic-run state in the country have all filed suit against Trump for his budget freeze on vital health services. The fact that 0 Republican attorneys general are joining this lawsuit, despite the fact that this freeze hurts their constituents the most, which is a fact, it's Republican states that mostly rely on these programs, speaks volumes on how MAGA is absolutely a cult. In an emergency hearing today, a federal judge did temporarily block Trump's freeze until next Monday, which is exactly one day before my surgery. So I won't know until Monday how this plays out, whether I get to have my next cancer surgery, which has been scheduled for months. Between phone calls today to all these lawmakers and just trying to find out what was going on, I have cried many tears, not just for myself, but for the 75 million of us who did not vote for this tyrant. And the deafening silence from one of my best friends who was supposed to take me to the hospital next week for my surgery is telling. She is MAGA, and she had nothing to say. Because what can she say? There is no explanation for this. No humane explanation. This is a psychopathic move by Donald Trump and his enablers. And eventually, although maybe it doesn't today, it will impact her directly. Then, how will she and millions in the cult try to justify that they voted for someone who is modeling his playbook after Hitler's? And Donk is crying because it's upsetting. I don't say that lately. That is what is happening. Look at history. I I am a student of history. He is literally carrying out step by step exactly what Adolf Hitler did. I mean, those words are coming out of my mouth, but this is where we are now. We must accept that this is where Republicans are now. They are not for us. They are not interested in democracy. They are pro-authoritarianism. And we must demand that our Democratic leaders are out there calling it out every single day on every TV, podcast, media outlet that will have them. You know, you don't just go on corporate-owned fascism like Meet the Press on Sunday. That is not enough. Like, absolutely no more rubber stamping of Trump's cabinet nominees. I mean, I let my senators have it today because both Kaine and Warner have individually signed off on 2 of Trump's cabinet nominees. I mean, not acceptable. We are the opposition now. We are in a fight for, as President Biden said, the soul of this nation. It's playing out. What, we're 8 days into this and he's just gone full Putin? My God. What can you do? Call, email your representatives, whether they are Democrats or Republican, every single day. Like Jen Kiggins will be hearing from me again tomorrow because I want her to go on the record saying where she stands on this so that she is aware that her constituents like me now may have to postpone cancer surgery. And I'm just one of millions of people who's going through this right now. Use your voice while you have it. Like, we cannot be asleep at the wheel. And I realize the Meidas Mighty know this, but please have conversations with your friends, with your relatives, because even some of my, I guess, pro-democracy friends seem to be thinking that everything's normal. And I just want to go pound on my neighbors' doors. Like, do you not understand what is happening? Do you not see this? This is how Hitler took over Germany. People obeyed in advance. They were compliant. And silence, by the way, is complicity. My name is Suri Crowe. Thank you for watching. Obviously, I'll be on top of this story because it's really key and critical to my life. I appreciate you guys for watching. Share this message far and wide, and peace.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.